Okay, you're live.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the January 21st, 2021 meeting of the Historic Resources Preservation Board. We have a swearing in. Please, Ms. Cole.
Yes. And Mr. Pickett, if you would just kindly listen to what I'm going to read to you, and then I'll ask you to attest to that at the end. Do you, Stephen Pickett, solemnly swear or affirm that you will support, let me turn on my camera, I'm sorry. Let me start over. Do you, Stephen Pickett, solemnly swear or affirm that you will support, protect, and defend the Constitution and government of the United States and the state of Florida against all enemies, domestic or foreign, that you will bear true faith, loyalty, and allegiance to the same, and that you're entitled to hold office under the Constitution and the Charter of the City of Lake Worth Beach, and that you will faithfully perform all the duties of the office of appointed member of the Historic Resources Preservation Board, of which you are about to enter? If so, say yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I'll call the roll.
Roll call, please. Yes.
Judith Fox, Bernard Guthrie,
I'm here.
William Feldkamp,
Here.
Judith Just, Stephen Pickett,
Here.
Jeffrey Harris,
Here.
Robert Dorenzo.
Here.
Wonderful. You have a quorum.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Can those of us who are here stand, please, and give the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Are there any additions, deletions, reorderings?
No, Mr. Chairman, not this evening.
Mr. Hodges, okay, then can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the December 9th meeting?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Guthrie and seconded by Mr. Harris. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. All right, Ms. Cole, swearing in of staff and applicants.
Okay, Keith, if you move over the applicants, please, which would be.
Did we want to introduce Ms. Garrett at this time while we're moving the applicants over? Pam, did you want to do that now?
Sure, I can. I thought we were going to do it under at the end, but yes, board members. I don't know. There she is. Susan Garrett is a new attorney with the law firm of Tresivia, Donlin, Gatto, and Rubin, and she hails from the Atlanta, Georgia area. She has moved down south and has a myriad of experience as working as a city attorney in many offices. And from what I understand, she actually taught historic preservation at a college. So she has a myriad of experience and quite a bit of experience in historic preservation. So unlike me, who will say, I don't understand why we're not tearing down that house, Susan will understand the rehabilitation of historic homes. I'll still be around, but this, as I said, I have to give up some responsibilities right now. And because of her experience, we thought that this would be the most, the best transition and the easiest transition. So she's watching our meeting this evening. I'm still here. When Erin was talking about her in our separate meeting, she talked about me in the past tense. And I said, Erin, I'm still here. I'm still here. So I'm still here, but Susan will be here on a more regular basis.
Wonderful. Thank you and welcome, Susan. Welcome,
Thank
Susan.
you. I'm excited about being able to get back in the preservation area, and I'm looking forward to working with everybody. But yes, Pam will be just down the hall as a resource to me, so don't worry.
Great. Wonderful.
And we'll forward Susan's resume to the board. She really just has amazing experience and a lot of experience in this particular area. So we're very excited to have her on board.
Great. All right, Ms. Cole, are we doing the swearing in?
Yes, we will. We have everybody over. Jordan, we have all your applicants.
We just need our applicants to unmute, please. Mr. Miller is unmuted. Patty.
Yeah, I don't see Miss Layton. There
Okay,
she is.
you. And Scott, if you can unmute as well, please.
If everyone can unmute who's planning to give testimony this evening and turn
Patty,
your video.
we're just yours. We're missing. Look for the little microphone at the bottom of the screen.
Must have gone off. It's a,
Okay,
Okay, that's it.
Okay.
We got it.
good.
If you plan to speak before the board or give testimony for any reason, please raise your right hand.
Just as a
Where-
note, my client Christine was called away. She's on the phone with her mother in the hospital. I don't expect her to testify, but she's not able to swear in right this moment.
Okay, so
Oh,
when,
she's coming. Oh, here she is.
okay, I was gonna say when item comes up.
Swear in just in case you want to talk.
Okay, please raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you will give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say yes.
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 Thank
All right, I think that does it for the swearing in. Proof of publication, is there an issue with 207 Ocean Breeze? Proof of publication, or are we all set?
That was published.
It was published?
Yep.
Okay, no withdrawals, no postponements. Board disclosures be next.
I have none.
I visited all of the properties, but other than that, no other disclosures.
I have no disclosure.
No disclosure.
None already. Well, in
No
that case,
disclosure.
yeah. Thank you, Mr. Dorenzo. All right, let's go right into item A, 207 Ocean Breeze.
Okay. Well, good evening. For the record, this is Jordan Hodges, Senior Historic Preservation Coordinator for the City of Lake Worth Beach. I'll be presenting this item before you this evening. And this is project number 20-001-00233, which is a certificate of appropriateness for the construction of a new 3,685 square foot multifamily building located at 207 Ocean Breeze. Okay, next
Can you
slide.
check your screen share? You have the wrong screen shared.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Next screen. So the property owner, Robert Miller of Grandview Holdings LLC, is requesting approval of the certificate of appropriateness for new construction located at 207 Ocean Breeze, which is going to be block 95, lot 11, which is also described periodically through this presentation as the southern parcel. The vacant parcel at 207 Ocean Breeze is a 50 by 135 platted lot of record that is currently vacant. The property is located in the multifamily 20 zoning district, retains a future land use designation of medium family residential, and is located in the South Palm Park Local Historic District on the west side of Ocean Breeze between 2nd Avenue South and 3rd Avenue South. Okay, so a little background on the parcels. From documentation available in the city's property file, the parcel was developed around 1925 with a single family residence and rear garage on the southern half of the parcel and a single family residence and a rear garage on the northern half and a shared center driveway. These were pretty typical 1920s frame vernacular buildings. The two residences were captured in the 1990 historic survey for the South Palm Park District, addressed as 209 and 211 South O Street. You can see images of those on the screen. Next slide, Ed. The 1940s property appraiser's card are illustrated here. As you can see, the northern and southern halves. But in 2004, the HRPB did approve a demolition request for all structures on this parcel under COA 04080020. The buildings had been pretty severely neglected and they were deemed as unsafe by the building official. Now, a simultaneous request for new construction was approved for this parcel, but it was never constructed. And the buildings were demolished 4 years after the demolition permit was issued. In January 2020, the current owner, Robert Miller, applied for a zoning verification letter requesting approval to separate the vacant parcel, which is lot 11, from the existing improved property at 207 Ocean Breeze, which occupies lot 10. Once received, Palm Beach County property appraiser approved the parcel separation and provided a new PCN for the vacant lot. The vacant lot will receive a new address from the city prior to the commencement of construction. This is the lot as it sits today. As you can see, there's some hedging and fencing, but no other improvements on the parcel. And this is going to be the existing structure on lot 10. So the southern parcel at 207 Ocean Breeze, again, is a 50 by 135 platted lot of record that is currently vacant. It does have some, brick paving on it, but that is the parcel. So per LDR section 23230, requests for multifamily new construction under 7,500 square feet shall be reviewed administratively under a minor site plan application by the city's site plan review team. The process consists of comprehensive plan reviews by Palm Beach County Fire, the city's building, landscape planning, historic preservation, urban design, public works, electric, and water and sewer utility divisions, to ensure consistency with the development requirements within the city's LDRs prior to permitting or prior to review by the city's Historic Resources Preservation Board or Planning and Zoning Board. And the applicant submitted their initial application on October 1st and received department comments on October 20th. A resubmittal was received on November 2nd. And on December 16th, the applicant was informed that all major items had been sufficiently addressed. So this is the finalized site plan brought before you. As you can see, there are 4 off-street parking spaces to the rear off of the alley. There are 2 on-street parking spaces up front. The building is sited at its customary 20-foot setback. It does have paver walkways on either side. There's a typical entrance in the front and then 2 side entrances for the bottom 2 apartments. There's also a pool and some fencing and landscaping. Next slide, Abe. The proposed multifamily new construction project is consistent with all site data requirements within the LDRs. And the application as proposed meets the minimum parking requirements and complies with all impermeable surface, building coverage allotments, and setbacks. The 4 parking spaces are provided off-street, and 2 spaces, again, are provided on the street as allowed by code for multifamily zoning districts. The maximum allowed for on-street parking is 50% of the total parking requirement. Next slide, Ed. Landscape plan is shown on this slide. Formal review of the landscaping took place during the minor site plan review process, and comments were issued to the applicant by Dave McGrew, the city's horticulturalist. So this is the final landscape plan. Okay. So these are the front and rear elevations. And the proposed building features many character-defining architectural features commonly associated with the Art Deco architectural style. The building is 2 stories in height and features a symmetrical design with a central entry point and small raised stoop with a projecting eyebrow. The center stack of the facade features a geometric stucco relief and slightly recessed doorway. Additional features include pairs of compatibly sized 8-light casement windows and a center glass block window on the 2nd story. The massing of the building is typical for the style and based off of local multifamily examples from the 1930s. The secondary side and rear facades generally avoid long expanses of blank facade with windows at regular intervals. Staff does have some remaining recommendations regarding exterior detailing that we'll get to at the end in the conditions of approval. These are the proposed floor plans for the first and second floor. As you can see, the front door, the door facing Ocean Breeze, leads to a staircase to the 3-bedroom unit on the second floor, while the first floor units are accessed from the side entrances. Both of these on the first floor are 2-bedroom units and a 3-bedroom unit at the top. Okay. So this is the proposed streetscape elevation. And again, these tools are useful for determining height and massing compatibility within the existing streetscape. And it is staff's analysis that the proposal responds adequately to the lot size, shape, and configuration and respects the development pattern in the district. The design does not seek to fully replicate a historic architectural style, but it does nod to the Art Deco aesthetic with massing, material choices, and exterior detailing. Okay, so these are some renderings that the applicant has provided. But all new construction within designated historic districts shall be visibly compatible, and new buildings should take their design cues from the surrounding existing structures, using traditional or contemporary design standards and elements that relate to existing structures that surround them. Building design styles, whether contemporary or traditional, should be visually compatible with the existing structures in the district. In approving or denying applications for certificates of appropriateness, the city shall also, at minimum, consider the additional guidelines which help to define visual compatibility as listed in LDR section 23.5-4K3A. That was included in your staff reports, but it is the analysis of staff that the new construction project is generally compatible with these regulations. As proposed, the design utilizes the scale and design elements found in Art Deco multifamily and commercial structures that gained widespread popularity throughout the United States in the 1930s. In Lake Worth Beach, architectural examples of this style are more subdued but easily identifiable. Several examples from the 30s exist throughout the city, including numerous multifamily structures south of Lake Avenue and the Palm Beach County Cultural Council at 609 Lake Avenue. The Lake Worth Beach Historic Preservation Design Guidelines also includes a chapter on Art Deco architecture. Okay. And staff has added a recommendation to the condition of approval that the building be named. It was typical for Art Deco multifamily structures from the 30s to have a featured name on the building's front facade above the entry door. Staff did include that the signage shall comply with LDR section 23.5-1, which is our signage code, and the lettering shall be compatible with the Art Deco architectural style as defined in the city's design guidelines. The example on the left is 601 Lake Avenue, which is the Lake Palms building. And the right, we have the property at 118 South Lakeside Drive, which is the Beverly Palms. Okay, so in conclusion, the proposed application as conditioned is consistent with the city's land development regulations, and the structure's design and site plan are consistent with the Historic Preservation Ordinance and the Lake Worth Beach Historic Preservation Design Guidelines. Staff is recommending approval with conditions to allow the construction of the new building. Mr. Chairman, I can go ahead and run through the conditions of approval if you'd like.
If you would, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so item number one, that is our typical window material condition, that they be aluminum, steel, or fiberglass. The applicant is choosing to do the clear anodized finish, so it'll be a silver casement and horizontal rollers. And all proposed exterior entry doors shall be compatible with the Art Deco architectural style reviewed at permitting. Number two, that the windows shall utilize the clear anodized frames. Number three, that the windows shall be recessed a minimum of 3 inches from the face of the wall to the glass, which is typical for masonry buildings. Number four, that all glazing shall be clear, non-reflective, and without tint. That is our 70% VLT that we've discussed at length. Number 5, the divided light patterns on the front facade shall be corrected to match the window and door elevations on sheet SP3. That was just a clerical thing. Number 6, all window and door divided light patterns shall be created using the exterior raised profile muntins, and that grids between the glass and flat exterior muntins should not be used. Number 7, that a detailed drawing shall be submitted of the Art Deco elements, that kind of geometric motif, subject to staff review at permitting. Number 8 is another clerical thing. On the site data table, the required parking shall be revised to list the total number of required parking spaces. Number 9, that the materials used for the rooftop screening of the air conditioning units shall be compatible with the architectural style, color, and materials of the principal building, subject to staff review of permitting. Number 10 is that the height of the rooftop screening shall be equal to the highest point of the systems and equipment, subject to staff review of permitting. Number 11 is the space between the bottom of the projecting eyebrows and the window lintel shall be no greater than 6 inches. And then number 12 is what we discussed earlier, that the building should be outfitted with a name on the front facade above the entry door, as typical for buildings of this period. Okay, I do believe that the developer, Mr. Robert Miller, is here with us this evening. I'm sure he'd be happy to answer any questions you have, as would staff.
All right. Board members, questions for the applicant?
Actually, Jordan, can you back up to the elevation from either side of the building that shows the screen on top? And now, can you go back to the front elevation of the building, please? All right, so in that elevation, when we look at this elevation, we can see the screen.
Mm-hmm.
When we look at the street front elevation, the screen is hidden, or it's just invisible. How high is that thing now relative to the gear that's it's hiding? Do we know? Is it taller, much taller than the gear, or is it going to drop a little bit?
It will be probably about 3 feet.
It'll be 3 feet tall, and how high is it right now shown in that drawing? Is that shown at 3 feet?
It's showing you at she doesn't have it. She doesn't have the dimension actually listed there from what I am looking at.
All right. Well, the thing, if we go back to that streetscape elevation,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really important that we drop that thing down, because as low as it possibly can go, because it's obviously not going to be the same stucco finish as this stuff, as the elevation of the building itself. And when you back away from a building like this, you're going to see it pretty easily, it seems to me.
Yes, I believe we had proposed to actually hide it behind some landscaping, and that was turned down, and we were told to go possibly on the roof with screening. So I wasn't opposed to put it behind some hedges or something if that would be allowable.
Well, it was the way that it was in site plan review, whereas they were placed in the front yard, landscape screening, which we do have a code provision which disallows that.
Yeah, that's the appropriate place to put them. I'm just saying that if we're going to see the screening, we should really consider what the screening is made of, so it at least blends in with the rest of the building.
Yeah. Is there room in the backyard for these?
The backyard's tough because you've got the parking and the pool back there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's those townhouses over on Dixie Highway over at College Park. The units there are placed in the front. I don't know if that was prior to the updated code. I was looking to do something similar to that when we first proposed this, because I don't really believe you will see them if we put a nice hedge right in front of them and it's below the window over there. They will be screened with landscaping, if we went that route.
Okay.
To go up taller with the with block and stucco would be an option, but I don't know if we're going to then be at a point where we're exceeding the height restrictions of the area.
Right.
Right, I think, doesn't, the screening is a little bit exempt from that, isn't it? The height?
There are provisions to allow for.
Yeah. So, I mean, I personally think the roof mounted systems is the way to go with this. I just think that whatever that material is needs to be the same color as the building or something that makes it sort of blend in and hopefully.
Well,
not-
yes, it would definitely, the body color of the building is going to be white. So I would plan for that material to be white as well.
Right, okay. And then also, as Jordan is saying, get it, make it as low as it can possibly be to cover the stuff.
Yes, absolutely. I want it to look good as well. Yes.
Yeah. No, it's
Where
fine.
is the pool equipment?
We were going to set something to the side, in the rear, to the rear of the pool back there. So we would plan for something on the west side because that's going to be enclosed with a fence over there. So probably in the corner over there, inside of the fence.
Inside of the fence.
There's going to be a gate around the pool. So if you go to the,
Mr. Hodges, do you have a pointer?
Yeah, Abe, can you kind of point
Yep.
out?
yeah,
Yeah,
keep going,
Abe's
keep
controlling
going.
the slides.
Yep, like right over there. You just went a little too far to the east. Take it back, and up. We would probably plan to try to do something over there or the opposite side.
Which would allow the walkway to be on the south side of that, and it would be taking a little bit of space out of the pool
Correct.
deck.
Yep. And that would just get some landscaping over there around that equipment.
Other questions? We'll get back to that, but other questions from?
Yes.
members?
Question.
Yes.
The mechanicals on the roof, they're towards the back of they're on the back side of the roof, Mr. Miller?
They're on the front side.
So they're towards the front.
They're towards the front. The second floor unit actually has a patio back there, a second level balcony. So I can't put it on the balcony.
Oh, I apologize. All right. I understand why now, because I'm looking at it going, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments?
Mr. Guthrie, comment on?
Jordan, could you explain to me the space between the bottom of the projecting eyebrows and the window lintels?
Sure. Abe, would you go to the elevation? Okay, so you have the window header, the very top of the window there. And then you have the projecting eyebrows on top of that. So typically we did a little bit of local research on that. And typically those eyebrows are sitting right on the window header or just slightly above. So we did a maximum provision of 6 inches. But as you can see here at 101 Lakeside, those are sitting just about right on the window lintel.
Such that the concrete beam would have the projection from
Correct.
below from the bottom of the beam.
Correct.
What is the thickness of that eyebrow? That's also an important issue. I mean, ideally, they would be 4 inches at the edge and maybe 6 inches at the face.
There is a measurement, right? I remember looking at it, but I don't think I wrote it down.
On the top left, is that?
Yeah. Do you see that, Abraham, on the top? Go back. That top left window.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what that measurement is?
So it looks like it says 8 inches, but I think that's the measurement from the lintel to the top
To
of
the
the
top of the eyebrow. So it
Um,
looks like it's about 2 inches, 2 or 3
So
inches.
that would reduce to 6, and I feel rather strongly that those eyebrows need to be as thin as can be.
Yeah, I agree with that. I actually would like to see them right on top of the window, like Jordan mentioned. I mean, when you compare the building as it's drawn in the packet here to the building directly below it, the idea that the eyebrows are part of the window assembly rather than floating on the wall makes it look so much better. You know, it's part of something. It's part of that whole assembly that is the windows.
But is there a space on that Beverly Palms?
There is
A small one, very small one. And then on the top, it's a little bit larger, but it wraps the whole building.
yeah, the Savannah does not have a space.
No, it's just it's right on top of it.
It looks like when I zoomed in on the drawing that the lintel is 4 inches and then there's an 8-inch space between the window and the.
Oh, right, okay, you're right. So so the actual eyebrow is 4 inches.
Oh, the eyebrow is 4,
Right, the
okay.
eyebrow is 4, and then it's an 8-inch. Yeah, I mean, if we could drop that down, if you could work that detail out, I think that would improve the building.
Yeah.
The other comment I have while we're on this is there any way that you can bring those windows to the corner and have a corner connection with a brake metal surround around the column, around a steel column?
And what building are we trying to match? I mean, I could do it. I mean, it's just a great cost to go that route. I mean,
What's your floor structure, Mr. Miller? Is it, it looks
concrete.
concrete?
Yes.
That's surprising because you got, I think, 2.5 foot spacing from ceiling to floor. I had thought that you were going to be using wood trusses. but
Wood truss for the second floor.
Oh, okay. So the second floor is wood truss.
Yes.
So the outer wall, the concrete block wall, would be supporting any kind of corner window.
I'm sorry?
So the outer wall would be supporting the corner window as opposed to being part of a floor slab.
That's right. Yeah, it's going to be it would be a poured column in the corners there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I noticed that it's more than a poured column. You've got little, I don't know, 4 inch or something or other beyond the column. And of course, I think that Mr. Harris is looking for the smallest, thinnest possible corner, preferably steel or even a cantilever. It's not that far out to actually cantilever that eyebrow.
Can I ask Mr. Harris, if you go back to the slide with the similar buildings designs, Nick, keep going. That one. Are you referring to the one in the middle on the left-hand side where the windows kind of wrap around?
Yeah. No, I'm actually looking at the packet. There's an illustration in the packet of the Savannah building, which is in Lake Worth. And then the proposed facade is directly above that image.
Mm-hmm.
And
That one.
yeah, and it's not that. It's this page.
Those windows wrap around as well.
I mean,
Okay.
I understand the expense involved here. I'm just wondering if there's any way we can make this look less like a punched opening and more like some continuous wrap around the corner. And maybe your engineer can reduce the size of that concrete column. Maybe we can bang the window against the absolute minimum size of the concrete and back the concrete off slightly from the height of the head to the height of the sill, just to get some relief in that corner. And again, I mean, brake metal isn't that expensive. I agree, if you have to put a steel column in there, that's going to drive up the cost significantly. However,
Yes.
if your engineer is able to reduce the actual pour of that column back from the front of the building, then you could put brake metal to match the anodized aluminum or the brushed aluminum around the corner to the next window.
Yeah, the only issue I would see with that is you're asked the board recommended that the windows be recessed in, so then it would actually pop back out and then wrap around.
Right. Well, but that's what I mean. I mean, again, I'm just throwing out a suggestion here. If that wall if that's an 8-inch thick by, right now, it's an 8-inch thick by what, 12-inch or 16-inch column?
Yep.
It's actually an L-shaped column.
It's an L-shaped column, yes.
Right. So all I'm saying is that I believe there's enough rigidity in that column where it could be maybe less deep. And then we could get some relief there. And then you could at least make an attempt to make the windows attach to each other as they turn the corner.
Reduce it to 6 by 6 or something. and move the windows a little closer to the corner.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's the column, even if the column is 6 by, even if it's, like, even if that corner section there, and I think that's about 12 inches right now. Even if it was left at 12 inches, and it was backed into 6 inches, I'm pretty sure there's enough concrete there to resist any loads that we have on it.
Yeah.
And then, then you could perhaps wrap that in this brake metal, which is cheap. And the window would then at least look like the building below it. It would have a detail that's similar to that one where everything turns in the corner. I mean, ideally, that's the nicest situation. But, I know costs drive everything.
Yeah. Well, I have to agree. Mr. Miller, we're very happy that you are using the deco style, and we applaud that. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I think it's just a matter of you're not quite there yet. And well, let's see what other issues do people have before we get into other questions for the applicant.
The condition requiring the building name, is that an issue? Mr. Miller?
No, I have no issues with it. I mean, if you guys have any recommendations, I'm open to it, or you just want me to get something approved by you. No problem. No problem on that one.
You can name it after Bill.
Yeah, I was gonna say, name it after Feldkamp.
Oh, no.
No, call it the Miller.
Yeah, I think so. The Miller.
Okay.
Miller,
Sounds good.
there you go. The Miller Palm.
Miller Palms. There we go.
Again, I don't want to be an idiot about this, but I just want, if we're gonna make an attempt to make buildings look like sort of a particular style, I'd just like to see the style carried through as much as possible and not get too bastardized along the way. So the one other question I have about this, and I completely get it as far as the way the plan works, because you walk into that entry and you're going straight up. Is there any way that we can make that entry a little more generous so that it addresses the street a little better? And so you get a feeling that, that's kind of an important part of the building. And also, how do we, maybe it's not important to you, but how do you signify that the units are on either side of it? The entries to the units on either side are, back there off the street like this. Is there something?
I think you could guarantee that 3 years from now, someone is going to take those paver blocks that are used to get to the 2 first floor units and going to put in a concrete walkway.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Abe, will you switch to the renderings? Mr. Harris, did you have any recommendations, or what do you mean by making it more generous?
Well, you really can't. I mean, I get it because of the way the plan is laid out. It's very tight, and all the square footage is being used as efficiently as it possibly can. But if we can we go to the one or the other side elevation of this? Okay, so so that you can see I guess there is an eyebrow or something over the doors, right?
There is. Yes.
All right.
Just slightly higher than the eyebrow.
Right,
The windows.
right. So can we?
Excuse me, so that means that the entrance to the downstairs units are way in the back?
That's right.
That's right. I mean, unfortunately, we, as a board, we have only say on the exterior, what is visible from the street. I do think, that is up to the applicant, how he wants to lay out the building. Seems a bit strange, but.
It did go through site plan review. We were curious to see whether Palm Beach County Fire or, any kind of utilities would have any concern with it.
Right.
They seem to not.
If you've traveled down that road, you'll notice there's, buildings with a building behind it with entrances around the rear side as well. So it's not, I'm not the only, going to be the only guy on the block that put units in the rear, not to mention there is also parking in the rear for these units.
Yeah. But now the second floor unit will need to park in front, or if the second floor unit parks in the rear, he or she will need to walk around the building. Is that correct?
Correct, yes. And I believe we also were able to allocate, since there is no formal driveway in the front of this building, that street parking was allowed as well during that site plan approval.
Yeah, right. Are you planning to live on that second floor?
Me, no.
Okay.
No, I intend to make this a rental property.
Good, good. Seems like the only issue we have is with those corner windows in the front. And I have a rather major issue with the mullion typing. If we all go back to the Savannah as the gold standard, Savannah first off has sills, and each of the large spaces is divided into 3 rather than 4 vertically. I don't know what it is that the Savannah works, and this one has some issues.
Is that the one that Abe is pointing to right now?
Yeah, that's this one on your packet.
Okay.
Yeah.
But those are wraparound windows, though.
Yeah, they are.
That's right.
You know, and I kind of have to bow to you guys' expertise when it comes to the historic nature. And Art Deco, I thought, had all kinds of varying designs, but it was basically the building, the building squareness, or if you want to put it that way, that denoted that. And then you could do all kinds of things, either with glass block or the windows being either wrap around like what you're talking about, or they could be centered in different areas. But there is a symmetry to the entire structure and design. And you know, I mean, I see what you're talking about and how it does, how it looks like it's going toward the other design that shows those wraparound windows. But this particular design that he's got in here currently, I mean, it clearly doesn't have the wraparound windows. And from the drawings of it, I don't see anything that bothers me with the drawings as they are.
Yeah.
Because the symmetry is maintained, and then you don't get into this 4 light pattern that you're talking about. Then you can keep the, is it a 3 light pattern that he's got on the?
So his windows we worked with his architect and we kind of modeled his at least window design, not placement, on this building, which implies pair to 8 light casements.
Okay. And because they are separated, the 4 actually works better, I think, when you move it away from the corner. But well, of course, then the one on the right-hand side's got 2. I don't know, the symmetry of it seemed to me to be lined up. And if it is something that's going to really cause a great deal of angst and engineering to move them out closer to that side, especially with the wooden floors on the second floor. It's not a real big thing for me, but you know, it's like I said, I bow to your expertise.
It is for me. I don't know about other folks.
Well, and the other thing is that the way the plan works, actually all the public spaces, I think, are facing toward the pool. Mm-hmm. So these are actually bedrooms that we're looking at on the front elevation.
Right.
You know, another thing, I mean, it's just so close. That's the thing. I mean, it's going to be a really nice building. If it could just be refined a little bit. Like if you look at the Savannah eyebrows, going back to those again, mm-hmm. Those are symmetrically located to the window, so the distance to the right is exactly the same as the distance to the left. Mm-hmm. And this one has a sort of asymmetrical condition where it looks like the one facing inboard on the it just is sort of arbitrarily lining up with the joint.
Yeah, right. And that is nothing but a joint. That's a vertical reglet.
Right.
That vertical line. It's not a change in plane.
Right. I mean, I'm just this whole idea of these planes kind of going by each other is very beautiful. If you could maybe stretch that thing out a little bit, that would probably help it too. But
stretch what out?
Those eyebrows.
Which eyebrow?
Well, if you look at any one of those 4 on that front elevation that we've got, and again, I don't know if you can see the one that I'm looking at. Well, it's the same elevation as that one up there, I guess.
Right.
I'm just saying that the eyebrow extends into space to the north or south of the building, what, 18 inches or something like that?
More than that, too.
But at any rate, what I'm saying is it extends about 18 inches past the corner of the building.
Shows 2 foot up there.
Okay, so then if you look at the way the Savannah works below it, that thing is also extending past it, but on the other side, it's an equidistant extension past the jamb of the window.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying that I think it would look better if we could extend that out to, really make those fine sort of eyebrows add a little more to the elevation of the building.
So would you be speaking about the 1'4"
Yes.
from the right-hand side of the upstairs left window to where the eyebrow, you would extend that out to 2 feet, closer to the center, toward the center of the building?
I think I would, yeah.
So you're basically adding 8 inches to the interior eyebrows inside.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think so.
Towards the center.
And
Mr.
then-
Miller, chime in.
And probably,
Yeah, please do. I mean,
probably on the side then too, right? Because you want it symmetrical.
I mean, I'll throw this out there too. I'll throw this out there too. Right now, where it's located seems kind of arbitrary. And, maybe if we're not going to be able to pull these windows tight to the corner, which it sounds like we're not going to be able to do that, maybe the eyebrow just aligns with the interior jamb of the window. In other words, the jamb of the window that's closer to the center of the building. And it cantilevers out. So then it's a dramatic extension in one direction. Right now, it's kind of muddy because,
Yeah, I see.
you know what I mean? It's kind of like, well, we're gonna end it here because that is.
So you're adding 8 inches to the inside of each window eyebrow to make it look symmetrical.
Well, possibly, or maybe it just ends at the jamb. Then just the extension is the dramatic part, the one that
What
sticks
you're
out.
saying.
Both
Yeah.
sides. Well, Mr. Miller, would you be completely averse to making these corner windows, these 4 windows, which would mean either a very small recessed concrete corner member to support it or a steel lolly column to support that corner? It would add somewhat to the cost, but not enormously, and it would get us out of here.
You're muted, Mr. Miller.
Jordan, can you switch, or I guess Abraham does it. Can you switch that back to the plan?
Yeah, I was saying, I mean, I would prefer to speak with the engineer tomorrow to get a good idea of how they'd like to see it done.
Abe, will you switch to the interior plan?
As far as the eyebrows go, what you were saying about cutting, I believe you were saying lose the foot. What was it? A foot and 4 inches
On the interior.
on the interior. Yeah, I mean, that I like.
So
The
either
fact-
terminate it at the inside edge or bring it out to 2 feet.
Yeah, I think it would actually look better if we actually did start it from that window and just go out, because if you went 2 feet, you're still going to have 2 feet and a foot and 4 inches on the other side. So you're at 3 foot 4 inches.
Right. And I'm just kind of drawing on this thing that I'm looking at. And I know it's not really what I was talking about in the beginning, but I think that makes more sense. If you move that entire joint.
If you move the joint so that
the window
to the edge of the window, that would help.
Right. And then just let the thing start there and run out.
Mhm.
Then it's a lot
Yeah.
more dramatic.
Okay,
Yeah, I like that.
Okay,
all right.
well, that's a good one.
Okay, we're getting there.
Did we want to discuss lowering the eyebrow to the lintel? Any
Yeah, I
further?
would really,
Yeah.
I think that makes a huge difference too, because then you don't have that little sort of no man's land between the two pieces.
And frankly, I think that the engineer would prefer that. That would mean that he would have an upturned beam that ended at the window head.
Mhm.
So it's a little cleaner.
Yeah,
Now you want to meet with your engineer tomorrow. Is there a way, Mr. Hodges, that we can let him move on, but still have some say in these 4 corner windows? I think that's the only major issue that we have.
so we would be trimming that back and moving the score line, potentially dropping the eyebrow to the lintel, and then seeing the possibility of
I think we need to change the muntins.
Can I interject something here?
Sure.
I just heard Jordan say, lower the eyebrow to the window. Is there a design that takes that across at the same height as any of the other features in the front? So therefore you'd be raising the window to the lintel, to the eyebrow.
Well, my notes here are the window is only 4'2" high. The window head is at 6'8". Certainly could have been higher. If I were designing this, I would have raised the height of those windows from 4'2" to
the window heights are 6'10".
6'10".
The head is at 6'10"? Okay.
Okay. I had 6'8", but whatever.
6'8", 6'10", sorry.
If the lintel dropped down across the center of the building too, or the eyebrow dropped down across the center of the building, that would, and again, that's looking at the Savannah, that's the way that thing was done.
Mm-hmm.
At least then there's sort of an order to it and everything makes sense. And I agree with Bill. I mean, the engineer should like that, because then, are you going to, I know those things are going to be tapered. Are they going to be tapered as concrete, or are you going to taper them after the fact with some sort of overframe or?
Yeah, I think we were going to go after the fact.
Really?
Okay.
Well, the eyebrows are only 4 inches at the exterior edge.
Right.
Generally, they are somewhat thicker at the face of the building, just for structural reasons.
I was wondering, do you think it would help the situation if the windows had the proportion changed a little bit, where the windows were longer and had more of that horizontal pull to them, as opposed to when you look at the other elements of the building, everything is very rectangular and the windows are a little bit more square.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It might actually help with the proportion of the corners if the windows were stretched out a little bit and had more of a horizontal lay.
Yeah, the only thing we'd have to have some concern with there would possibly be egress with the building department.
I will say that we worked, and I'm not opposed to changing it, but we worked with the architect quite a bit on the window proportions. Casements from this era really had kind of that light size. And, depending on, the window would either be 2 lights high, 6 lights tall, 6 lights high, or 8 lights high.
Okay.
And those, I will say that those are the correct proportions. If we wanted to change it, we could do that, but for the period, those are the appropriate window sizes.
Well, Jordan, let me ask you this, going back to Bill's comment earlier about the vertical breakup of those muntins, the number of vertical pieces. Let me ask you this, again, this is kind of out there, but what if we didn't have any vertical pieces? What if they were?
It's kind of an example of that right here, which was a kind of a mistake on the drawing. So it would replicate more of an awning window as opposed to a casement.
That could be an improvement.
I mean, I'm just, again, I'm trying to emphasize the kind of horizontality
Sure.
of the way the building works without having to cut that corner away.
Sure.
And
Well, we don't know yet that we can't cut the corner away until he speaks with his engineers tomorrow.
that's right.
So I think I just want to weigh in here a little bit. I think we can get some solid direction from you all this evening on what types of things we can check out and work with the applicant. I think from what I heard, that the applicant was the most amenable to the eyebrow modification. And I do want to center us, if we're going to continue talking about window lights and things, we need to be centered in the design guidelines. And so we can have pull those up and go back to the design guidelines, which govern this architectural style for this. So we do need to go back to that if we're going to continue that window discussion.
Is that something we need to do, or can we?
If you're comfortable with the proportions as proposed in the configurations, I think we can move forward with that. It sounds to me like there was there were 2 eyebrow configurations. If there was consensus from what I heard in the discussion, or some interest from the board, I don't know, consensus to lower the eyebrows. And then option one was to, if you can go to the front elevation, Jordan, discussion 1 was to remove the 1 foot 4 inches from the interior. And then option 2 was to see if the windows could be brought further towards the exterior wall or the edge of the building. So I think both of those are, I think staff could take that direction and look at both of those options with the applicant and have them lower the eyebrow and either take off this eyebrow or move the window further to the edge of the building. Those are things that staff can do. So if you're comfortable with either one of those solutions, those could be conditions of approval and we could move forward.
Aaron, would this be a condition number 13 or so to enumerate what you just said? I like what you just said. Or should we just leave that for the?
I think it would be cleaner just to add a new one instead of trying to fit it in somewhere else.
Okay, so let's try and craft an condition number 13.
Why don't we replace 11?
Yeah, or you could replace 11.
Modify.
Okay.
So the condition would be to modify condition 11 and would be to allow staff approval to either modify the eyebrow configuration to remove the interior 1 foot 4 inches from the inside of the window. And I'm sure there's a more architecturally appropriate word you can help me with, or to bring the window closer to the edge, the outside edge of the building on the front facade.
All right, so we're thinking number 11, the space between, there would change to say there would be no space between the bottom of the projecting eyebrow and the window lintels.
Okay.
Okay, that's number 11 changed. There would be a new number 13. Staff would approve changes to the dimensions of the eyebrow. And 14, the windows themselves would be brought as close as possible to the corners of the building.
Okay.
With or without steel lolly column.
And I would just say that the eyebrows, the space between the bottom of the projecting eyebrows and the window lintels, we had a staff condition of no greater than 6 inches. I would propose not to say 0 inches, because if they can't meet that exact 0 inches because of engineering or because of something specific, then we'd have to bring it back. So I would say maybe look to the board to maybe say, or the applicant, maybe 3 inches might be, 3 inches wouldn't be really visible at that distance from the street in a significant way. So that would give some, and we could say no greater than, and this would give staff some flexibility if there was a need. So we didn't have to bring this gentleman back.
Okay, so
Yeah, that sounds good.
no greater than 3 inches, number 11. All right, can we get a motion?
Let's see.
Jordan, could you be prepared to reread the new condition of approval into the record as part of the motion to assist the board?
Sure.
Just Jordan, can we hold one moment? I did have one public comment before we.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yes, important.
And it's just one, it's a brief one. I'll read it right into the record. It says, hello, I'd like to comment on the notice received with regard to the construction of the multifamily building at 207 Ocean Breeze. My concern is regarding parking spaces. If the construction includes parking spaces for the families, I wouldn't object to the construction, even though the parking provided is usually not enough for each home. Added housing without parking included in the construction would be a problem in our street. There are already several multifamily units on the north part of the block, and there is never enough to park as it is. The majority of single homes are able to use only one space in front of their homes, and people from those exiting multi-unit homes have to park all the way to 3rd Avenue and walk back to their homes already. This will affect them much more. Thank you, Noemi McGregor, 228 Ocean Breeze. And that's the only comment I have received.
Thank you, Ms. Cole.
You're welcome.
May I ask for the record, the site plan does meet the parking requirements?
It does. So they are allowed, by code, they're allowed to put as much as 50% of their required parking on the street. And they're putting a third. So they're required to have 6 spaces. They have 4 on site and 2 on the street. So they are within their allocation.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I was just listening to the public comment and I was thinking about her concerns were related to, were construction related. And if you recall, in a previous board meeting, I believe it was in mid-November, you saw some LDR changes related to temporary uses, including construction, parking.
Mhm.
So those code changes are going before the city commission. They will be going in the month of February. So prior to construction, those types of the construction, the new codes governing construction. So Mr. Miller will have to provide employee parking at some location. So we will have to work that out with him. And that's always a difficulty when we have infill projects in any city, is when construction is occurring and so many of our residents rely on-street parking, for our contractors to try to be as respectful as possible. So I think that's a good comment. And we, as a result of that experience, we have worked towards providing new code requirements to address that issue in construction.
Thank you, Aaron. That was a good code provision. I remember when it came in front of us. And I think it would be nice if someone in staff might give that same information to the writer of that letter that Ms. Cole read.
And, we'll definitely encourage Mr. Miller to contact the resident as well when we're closer to that. So to work with the residents in the area to be respectful. So we're excited to have investment, but we also need to try to be, it's a difficult task, no doubt.
Understood.
Yeah, and Mr. Miller, thank you for going through with this. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really nice building.
Mr. Hodges, were you supposed to read?
I can. So our edit to condition number 11 would be that the space between the bottom of the projecting eyebrow and the window lintel shall be no greater than 3 inches, but preferably 0. And then number 13, staff shall review and approve changes to the eyebrow by removing 1.4 feet of the interior overhang and to shift the windows as close as possible to the corner.
Excellent. All right, the motion is being made by Mr. Harris, is that correct?
With that said, I move to approve HRPV project number 20-001-00233 with staff recommended conditions. A plus or minus 3,685 square foot multifamily building located at 207 Ocean Breeze. Parenthetically, block 95, lot 11, based upon the competent substantial evidence in the staff report and pursuant to the City of Lake Worth Beach land development regulations and historic preservation requirements.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Pickett. All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Miller, for putting.
Great. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Have a nice night.
Thank
Thank you, Mr. Dorinzo out there in TV land. Yeah. All right, we're on to item B, 418 North Ocean Breeze. Take it away.
I believe Mr. Fogel will be presenting this for us.
Oh, okay.
Do we have somebody from the applicant? on this one?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, I believe the project architect is with us.
Okay.
So we'll pull them over once we complete the presentation.
All right.
Okay. Let's make sure we have the correct screen on. All right.
Hey, does that pop up on your screen?
I'm sorry?
There's a pop-up on the screen.
Is it better now?
Says a game bar, exe bad image, right in the middle of our screen. It's blocking it pretty much a lot.
Just a second. Let me see what's going on.
And Jordan's gonna take care of it from this end.
I think it might be local to your screen because it's not on mine.
We
And
got it.
Rob, is it on yours?
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, we're all set.
Okay.
Thank you. That'll make this presentation more interesting.
All right, just a second here. Okay. All right. So good evening. I'm Abraham Fogel, Preservation Planner for the City of Lake Worth Beach. I'll be covering item B tonight, which is HRPB project number 20-00100277, consideration of a certificate of appropriateness for the construction of a new plus or minus 619 square foot accessory building for the single family residence at 418 North Ocean Breeze. The property owners are requesting an approval for a new accessory structure on the east side of the property, which is the backyard. The subject property is a platted lot of record 50 by 135 feet on the east side of North Ocean Breeze between 4th and 5th Avenue North. The property is located in the single-family residential zoning district and retains a future land use designation of single-family residential, and the existing single-family residence is also a contributing resource to the Old Lucerne Local Historic District. The structure was built circa 1938 in a frame minimal traditional architectural style. The original architectural drawings are shown on this slide. As you can see, the plans illustrate a building of frame construction with wood lap siding, metal shingle roofing, as well as casement and sash windows. The structure's character defining features include an integral porch under the main gable roof, one car front facing garage, decorative wood shutters, and a triplet of 8 light casement windows on the front porch. On this slide, we can see the existing single-family residence. Our city building records indicate the structure had alterations over time, including a rear addition in 1954, as well as siding replacement, electrical upgrades, and a shed that was installed in the backyard. The applicant also provided additional photos which show the sides and the rear of the property. This is the property survey. It shows the existing single-family residence on the west side, and in the backyard, you can see there are several walkways, a slab for the shed, and also the driveway in the front yard. Here we have the proposed site plan, which shows the proposed plus or minus 618 square foot accessory building in the backyard, a new driveway with vehicular access from the alley, a new pool, as well as pool decking and walkways. The proposed accessory building is consistent with all site data requirements in the city zoning code. On this slide, we have the zoning analysis, and it complies with impermeable surface requirements, building lot coverage allotments, and the required building setbacks for an accessory building. So a little bit on the use. The applicant is proposing an accessory structure, which according to the applicant will be used by family members that occupy the existing residence. Again, this property is located in single-family zoning, which is primarily intended to permit single-family structures that are inhabited by one family or household, and this does not include accessory apartments or other facilities that permit occupancy by more than one family. However, in the single-family zoning district, customary accessory buildings are allowed. These accessory buildings are always incidental and subordinate to the principal residence, and these include, garages, sheds, pool cabanas, and they also include guest houses. Based on staff's analysis of the proposed accessory structure, it is allowed in the single-family zoning district. as it will be a guest house that provides additional living space that is incidental and subordinate to the existing single-family structure. In addition, staff has included conditions of approval to prevent the accessory building from being utilized as an additional dwelling unit, as this is a single-family property, and at the end of the presentation, I will cover those conditions of approval. Moving on to the proposed elevations, a rectangular floor plan is proposed with an integral corner screen porch and a side gable roof with a cross gable above the feature window on the west elevation. Cementitious lap siding is proposed to replicate the lap siding utilized on the existing structure, and a metal roof with a mill finish will be installed to match the roof on the single-family residence. Here we have the side elevations, single hung windows with decorative light patterns and historically appropriate trim and sill details are proposed, as well as a sliding glass door with decorative patterns. This is the proposed floor plan. As you can see, the accessory building contains an open living space, bedroom, and kitchenette. As mentioned in the previous presentation, all new construction within our historic districts is subject to visual compatibility standards that are listed in LDR section 23.5-4K3A. Staff has provided a response to that criteria in the staff report. Overall, the proposed accessory building has taken design cues from the existing single-family residence on the property and is generally compatible. However, staff has remaining concerns regarding the overall height of the proposed accessory building. The applicant submitted section drawings that show the height of the new accessory building compared to the existing single-family residence, as shown in the slide. Within the historic districts, accessory buildings must be secondary and subordinate to the historic building and should not overwhelm it. The proposed accessory building is higher than the existing residence and could be visible from the street, although located on the rear of the property. Staff has added conditions of approval that the height of the accessory building be lower or equal to the height of the primary structure. This can be achieved by lowering the overall height of the structure, and it can also be achieved by matching the pitch of the new accessory building, matching the pitch to the existing residence. In our design guidelines, we cover the prevailing architectural styles within our historic districts. The minimal traditional style is covered, and here we have the character defining features. The proposed accessory building has taken cues from the existing residence, which is minimal traditional, so it's also in compliance with the style as it's covered in the design guidelines, with a few exceptions that we'll discuss in the next slide. So our two chief concerns in that regard are the feature window on the west elevation above the two single hung windows that have a 2/2 pattern. It is a fanlight window, which is atypical for this architectural style and period. Staff has added a condition of approval that the fanlight window be changed to a 4-light transom design, which is more compatible with the minimal traditional architectural style. Also, if you look over at the north elevation, you will see that a French door is depicted. However, the applicant submitted the brochure image of the door that was submitted, and it's shown below, which is a steel raised panel door with decorative leaded glass inserts. Staff has added the recommendation to the conditions of approval that the style of entry door follow one of the examples from our design guidelines. These include French doors, recessed panel doors with varying light sizes and panel configurations. The proposed door that has the raised steel panels has a highly ornate leaded glass, which was atypical for this style and period in South Florida. So in conclusion, The proposed accessory building is designed in a historically compatible manner, which generally complements the existing structure and adheres to the recommendations provided within the city's historic preservation design guidelines as conditioned. So staff recommends approval with conditions for the request for a COA for the construction of a new accessory building. So here we have our conditions of approval. Again, the majority of these conditions are standard regarding the material, of the windows, the type of glass. I would like to bring attention to number 5 and 6, which pertain to the front door. So we added number 5, that the door utilize clear, frosted, obscure, or glass with a clear Low-E coating, and that tinted, highly reflective, gray, etch, or leaded glass would not be used. Number 6, if a panel design is proposed, it would utilize recessed panels, which are historically appropriate. Condition number 9 pertains to the fanlight window, as I discussed, changing that to a 4-light transom. Condition number 10 relates to lowering the overheight of the accessory building to be lower or equal to the primary residence. And conditions number 12 through 14 were added as it relates to the use. So number 12, the accessory building shall not be utilized as an ADU, as ADUs are not allowed in the single family zoning district. Number 13, the accessory structure shall not have kitchen facilities as defined in the city's land development regulations. Future alterations that would lead to the conversion of the structure to an ADU shall be prohibited. The accessory structure shall function as an extension of and subordinate to the single family use. As a small correction, we're crossing out number 14 as it was put in the staff report in error. So condition number 15 becomes condition number 14, which reads the accessory structure shall not be granted an additional utility meter from the Public Utilities Department and shall not be issued a rental license from the Lake Worth Beach Business License Division. So that concludes staff's presentation of this item, and the applicant is here with us tonight, and he has a separate presentation as well.
First off, Mr. Fogel, can you explain number 9, what that would look like, a 4-light? Is that 4 horizontal lights or is that a square?
Yes, so I'm sorry, I stopped sharing. Just a moment. Let me get my laser pointer as well. So if you can imagine just a rectangular transom that would have 4 lights that would align with the light sizes in the
They're arranged horizontally above the 2 existing windows.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You can see in that drawing, you can see that he's got a scissor truss going on where that dormer is.
Yeah.
I'm just going to stop sharing for a quick second so I can move over the applicant and share their presentation. Keith, it looks like I can't move over. You need to move over Christina.
Okay, one sec. Should be good. Give it 1 second. Yep.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hi.
No.
Would you like to give your presentation on the application?
Yes, I'd like to be part of this conversation.
You have the floor.
Okay.
So it'll just be a quick second. I'm opening up. Okay.
Okay, so am I on?
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Okay,
We can see you and hear you.
very good. I usually like to get a feel for the room, but I guess in this case, I have to get a feel for the Zoom. At any rate, to answer the last question, I don't know if I hold this up. If you can see, there's a sketch here that Abraham had provided with the transom lights instead of the half-round window.
Okay. Was that the window mullion was different on that from what we saw?
That one
before?
That was during our review of the project. We had recommended the design that would replace, that would replicate casement windows, I'm sorry. So in that, with that recommendation, that was the transom we recommended. Since the applicant proposed the 2/2, it would actually be a 4-light transom instead of, that one looks like a 6-light transom.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at any rate, the just to clarify, the staff has done a great job in preparing this for us and working with me. The only 2 issues that we have to discuss this evening are that half-round window and the overall height of the structure. So I just wanted to jump in and mention that any of the other conditions that are listed, we're very happy to adjust to accommodate the staff. It's just items number 9 and 10 that are the reasons that we're here this evening. The half-round window is, to back up a little bit, if this is my presentation part, if you will. I've been designing buildings for 37 years, and I always work to learn the property, learn what the owner wants, and apply the various codes and ordinances to try and come up with the best solution for the owner. And we worked on a number of different window configurations. The owner wanted to have as much of an open feeling as possible. So we have 9-foot wall height on this structure. The owner also wanted to get the floor height a little higher above the floodplain. So we've raised the existing, the proposed floor height to 1 foot above the floor height of the existing structure. And the owner was very much wanting some storage space. So I created a attic truss for storage that does not allow for habitable space, but does provide some storage. We have some cathedral ceilings in the main living area that extend into that front-facing dormer. And the half-round window seemed to be the most appropriate fitting to that space to allow for the afternoon and evening sun to go into the living room area. Those are the basic things that I had to present. The staff seemed to continually call that window a fan light. I'd like to correct that in that it's a half-round window, and I've come up with a grid pattern that I think is more consistent with the historic nature of this area. And also, this whole structure is really not going to be visible from the street. If you look at the sections, and it's not even to scale as far as how far back this house will be from the street. Abraham almost had it, went back to it. If you can go to the
Sorry, I don't want to give you a cedar.
if you can go to the
Mr. Ehrenberg,
section.
did you introduce yourself for the record, and did you provide your name? And I didn't remember you doing that. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Just introduce yourself for the board.
Yes, my name is Scott Ehrenberg, and my company is Berg Design. And I am listed as a representative for this project.
Continuing with your presentation, or are you finished?
I think I got the gist of it across. We can maybe address more if you'd like to come up with any concerns with regard to those 2 issues.
What is the roof pitch of the existing residence?
It varies between, I believe, a 512 and a 712.
But the 512 is the primary pitch, right? The 712 is that oddly pitched area of the garage, right?
Here we are on the, yeah, on those drawings. So
So you will be.
512 is the main pitch, and then the 712 in the front of the garage, they adjusted the roof pitch for the front of the garage.
Mhm. So you will be revising this to a 5 and 12?
No, we have it as a 912 on the main, on the new structure.
Just out of curiosity, how much higher is that? I can't really read it, unfortunately. My eyes are
It's
horrible.
approximately, if you go, for whatever reason, we're measuring from the middle of the slope.
Well, let's not worry about that. Let's just
It's-
worry about what you actually see. How much higher is the ridge on the addition and the ridge on the house? Accessory building.
One's 23 and something, and the other one is
Pulling
17.
out my plan that I can read better.
So it'd be like 6
So-
feet higher.
The actual ridge is, of the proposed structure will be about 23 feet, and the actual ridge of the existing structure is 17 feet.
6 feet higher, roughly.
The actual height is 6 feet higher. But if you were to stand in the street in front of the existing house, you could not see the ridge of the proposed structure.
You don't by any chance use SketchUp, do you? Is there any way, apparently there are no three-dimensional illustrations of this building at all?
I'm sorry, you're asking about a three-dimensional rendering?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, you don't use SketchUp or any similar modeling program?
No, I don't use SketchUp, I just use AutoCAD.
Okay. We don't have a street elevation of this, right? In other words, we don't have anything that shows the street rhythm and then the building behind. I know that's a little misleading, but.
Yeah, it's not required of it.
If you just look at this elevation in proportion, and even this is not proportionate, this is showing the addition very close to the existing structure. If you imagine standing to the right in front of the existing structure and looking towards the proposed structure, there's no way you could see the new structure over the existing structure.
Yeah, I honestly, without actually something graphic, I can't acknowledge that. In other words, I'd like to, if it would be really helpful to have something three-dimensional. SketchUp's great for it. I'm not going to sing their praises, but you can focus from one point across the street right over the building and we could see that. Or if we had a site section through this site where we could see the house in front and then the accessory building placed in its proper location relative to the existing house.
The only other thing I have is this is a photograph I had taken previously, if I can find a way to show this.
Yeah.
It looks like I'm getting a mirror image, but this is the side of the house that you might be able to see something from. It's actually a mirror image of the building because, but you can see that there's vegetation, there's a fence, and the house, there's very little that you're going to actually be able to possibly see of the new structure.
Well, so
Sorry, I don't have SketchUp.
why do you not want to reduce the roof pitch on this a little bit?
Two reasons. One is to get the cathedral space inside, and two is to have the storage space above the bedroom and bathroom area.
Right, okay. How many square feet? In other words, the cathedral, we can see in the sections that the cathedral space is in one portion of the house, but it's not where the storage is. So what I'm getting at is it doesn't seem like the cathedral element in the space has really any relevance to the argument because where that storage space is on a flat ceilinged area anyhow. So I'm wondering why we can't just back that off from a 912 to a 712.
Or 512.
Or even, well, yeah, I mean.
Because it wouldn't allow the loft up in there.
Yeah.
Well, it's for the storage and also typically with a truss, and we could go to conventional framing to accommodate the cathedral space. But with a truss, typically the cathedral is half the pitch of the outside. So if we reduce the outside pitch, we also reduce the inside pitch. But the more relevant issue is the storage.
Can we see a floor plan again?
Let's move this along.
Yeah, just a moment.
Do we have Mr. Guthrie's question, and I guess we have questions coming perhaps from Mr. Dorinzo, Mr. Pickett,
I've got several.
and then
Where is the loft? Where's the storage?
Can you increase your volume? We're having trouble hearing you.
Where is the loft in this photo here?
It's over the back.
The storage.
It's up above the bedroom.
And how do you access that storage area?
I did not show it. Probably a pull-down stairway in the bedroom.
Is this property homesteaded?
I don't know. I think the owner's there.
The owner's there as a home. Is this property homesteaded?
I'm not sure exactly what that means.
Is it your primary residence?
Yes.
Yes, it is. I could vouch. She's a neighbor up the street.
Okay.
okay, other questions from board members for the architect, the designer?
This appears to be an ADU in any way, shape, or form you look at it. And it's, I mean, they've got we're bending over backwards to put materials in there. This is going to be a bed and breakfast. This is going to be an Airbnb. And I really, in a single family neighborhood, zone single family, I have a real issue with that. And I cannot get around that. This is an ADU. This is I don't know what else to call it other than an ADU.
Well, we've had this issue before, and I can remember we had to defer a project several months ago for this exact same reason.
If it's in
And the answer is that we cannot forecast what the owner is going to do with it. It becomes a matter for code enforcement.
Who has no?
If this becomes an ADU and is registered as an ADU or as a bed and breakfast, then code steps in and says, no, you're out of business.
We don't allow either of those, so it can never be registered as a, so it cannot be an ADU and it cannot be a bed and breakfast, can't be an Airbnb because we don't allow those in our code right now. So if you're building one and you can call it a cabana because there's a pool there.
Yeah.
You can call it a garage. And
how long has this owner owned this property?
How long have you owned the property?
Coming on 14 years in March.
Okay, thank you.
This is Christina, who owns it with her mother. And her mother is getting on in years. She's actually in the hospital right now.
Yeah.
And should like to live on the property with her mother.
Yeah.
And that's what the intended use it is, not intended as a rental space.
And my husband and I, it's just kind of difficult for all three of us to be in here all together.
Mhm.
This is not a zoning issue. This is just the outside window and the height.
Correct.
So I think it is not within our purview to talk about ADUs in this case. We are only to talk about the architecture of it.
to the extent, okay, so, I mean, we can discuss it. However, this is allowable. This particular structure is allowable when it is being used in this, when the presentation was given, it was not disclosed that this is, I mean, it does say in-law space in there, but that it was not brought up that this was going to be for the owner of the house who lives in the house in front. This is going to be for her mother and back. If that had been disclosed at the very beginning of this, I'm sitting here thinking, this is somebody, and we've had this before, who's going to put an ADU in the back, they're going to have Airbnb. So this is exactly what this is intended. And I believe there's a federal law, if I'm not mistaken, that does not allow us to discriminate when people are going to be housing their elderly parents in their backyard in a separate structure. So I mean, it changes my impression of it totally.
Yeah.
And I was totally against it until I just heard that. So I'm sorry, Christina, but That's where I was coming for this thing. So now back to the height and window issues.
Wonderful.
There you go.
It's
just-
understandable.
And
Just to
Mr.
clarify, check the public records and it is listed as a homestead.
Okay.
Good.
And Mr. Chair, we have made allowances for it in the conditions. So
Yeah.
if for whatever reason, if she sells the property at some point, it will be in the public records that it is not an ADU unless the city changes its rules. The city might very well allow, Airbnbs, but for right now, they do not. So if they violate the condition, they will be brought before code enforcement.
Okay, thank you very much.
And I
Mr.
just want to add for the record as well, that the conditions of approval also address the conversion to an ADU. So this is really a subordinate living space and can't function as a fully independent unit. It can't have a full kitchen, and all those things are set up in there. So, so that it's very clear what it is and what they're being approved for.
Excellent. Now can we get back to the architecture? I have to weigh in here and say that I see no reason in the world why it should have more than a 5 and 12 pitch to match the existing house. It's not our place. If they needed more space for storage room, I don't know whether code would have allowed it, but to have a huge roof pitch for a storage area does not make sense to me. So I would very much be in favor of a 5 and 12 maximum pitch. I would also be very much in favor of not doing the lunette, the semicircular window, whatever you want to call it, but doing the drawing that the architect put up would be my first preference, using casement windows, I think, to match the front building.
That was the initial staff recommendation.
And that was a perfectly wonderful solution. I don't know whether the rest of the board feels that that's the direction we should go with the window in the living room. Comments? Are we finished with questions for the owner and the designer?
One question, does the owner have an issue with the recommendation for the door change?
No, all the other conditions they're more than happy with. It's only 9 and 10 that we're here for. If we wouldn't be here if it weren't for issues 9 and 10.
Okay.
So all the ADU stuff, the kitchen, the meters, that's all fine. Changing the door is fine. Window treatment, tinting is fine. The siding's matched, the roof's matched. It's just that she feels that the half round window is the best, the way she'd like to see it. And the reasonable use of the property should allow her to have storage in the attic.
Comments?
Well, I just think it's too tall. I just think it's too high, and without some sort of graphic representation so I can see it myself, that's where I am with it.
And the staff recommendation was to make sure that it is no taller than the structure. That makes it, that would make it superior to the front.
It seems like we are in agreement on the height of this height of the roof structure. It would be a little more than 5 and 12, but less than 9 and 12. And how about the window in the front? Comments on that?
I have a comment. I don't have an issue with what Abraham was talking about as far as the 4-window transom matching the single hungs that he had on his rendering. I got to remember, we're not going to see it from the street, and I don't agree with the round window. I like what Abraham was talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, I can support some sort of rectangular transom above that. I think.
Right.
Okay. So number 9, condition number 9, we're in agreement with.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then, so we agree on 9. We agree on 10.
Okay, now, let me just clarify something on the height of the accessory structure. So be lower or equal to the height of the primary structure. Did I not hear that the floor elevation of the accessory structure was going to be a foot higher than the front structure?
Yeah, correct.
Is that going to, in other words, if you say you want the roof pitch to match the front. And if you raise the floor level elevation because of flood level or whatever, it necessarily is going to make it about a foot higher than the other structure now.
No, because the house itself, front to back, is wider, is deeper than this accessory structure.
Okay, I see.
Actually, if I may, reducing the roof pitch alone is not going to solve the height issue, because even if we do reduce the roof pitch, we would also have to change the wall height of the interior and reduce the floor height.
Why is that?
And in order to get the accessory structure to be subordinate to the existing structure, because I believe actually the accessory structure is front to back longer than the existing structure. And also to allow for storage space, this is not a code issue. We could put a two-story building. It's not a height issue in that regard. I did also submit some pictures that we could look at. There are a number of structures within this historic district. It's not those pictures. There was 3 additional, maybe this is those. Yeah, here's one right here on the top right, 320 North Lake. That's a 2-story structure behind a 1-story structure. 311 North Lake, again, a 2-story structure behind a 1-story structure.
Let me just say that house at 320 North Lake is massive, and that's the original house.
That is the house.
That's not.
It's the old Harvey house.
That's a beautiful house.
And if I can just add a little bit to that, yes, there are 2-story accessory structures, but then it's a 2-story. But in the realm of looking at a 1-story accessory structure, it is usually subordinate at the same height as the structure or lower. So we're seeing it in that context. Obviously, a 2-story is higher, but it's designed in a style to be higher. It's 2 stories, and it's done in that way. In the realm of looking at just a 1-story, it's very typical to see kind of this in-between height.
Right. What's the base flood elevation for that zone? What is that flood zone?
So I believe it's 9. The applicant has chosen to go a foot higher,
right, which
than is required, right. Which you can obviously do.
A foot higher than is required.
Oh, then a foot.
And Mr. Scott can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the existing house does meet the current base flood elevation requirements. So if it was at the same slab height, same pitch, it would be meeting FEMA.
So right, so you're telling me if we drop the finished floor elevation of the accessory building down to match the existing house, we'd still be 12 inches.
So I think we just want to be careful. It's especially with flood things, if folks, unless there's really a reason to require the recommendation, if they want to keep the flood protection enhanced, I think that probably the best way to achieve that would be to reducing the height for compatibility.
Well, okay, so
I don't want to.
Are you telling me that?
Careful there.
You're telling me that their desire to place the house finished floor elevation 12 inches above the 12 inches freeboard that's already required is a solution that we can't object to?
No, what I'm saying is that we don't regulate in zoning how high the floor can be as a maximum.
Right, but in this case,
right, I understand, but so they are concerned about having additional flood protection. So I would just say you can choose whatever recommendation you all want, but I think that probably a better course of action, and we had some internal discussions as well, is maybe to look at alternative ways to address that.
Okay.
Well, I think that your item number 10 addresses it in the best possible way by just determining the height of the ridge beam and then leave it to the designer, leave it to the city, to leave it to other people to decide where that finished floor is and whether you get an 8-foot or 9-foot ceiling. But all we are interested in is the exterior and the fact that we want the ridge line to not exceed the height of the ridge line of the current building. And that is what is shown in current condition number 10.
And however he comes up with that, that's fine.
That's up to him. So I think we're covered it all. I think that the straw poll seems to be that the fan light needs to give way to 4 individual lights above the front window, as shown in number 9. So can I get a,
Just like one more time, if I may, to make it clear that I'm just trying to do my job, and I hear what your recommendation is, and if this is the way you're gonna go, we can find a way to comply with it. But I want to make it clear that this building is not going to be visible from the street, and even in reducing the roof pitch, we'll have to reduce the wall height, we'll have to reduce the floor height. I think it denies the owner reasonable use of their property. That's the end of my presentation.
Well, just out of curiosity, if the roof pitch was reduced, we're 6 feet higher than the front house right now. How much would you drop the house, would you drop the apparent height of that building down if you reduce the pitch? Have you calculated that?
I don't have the calculations in front of me, but I can say that even if we do drop everything, it's still going to be difficult to get the accessory structure to be below the existing house height. And it would basically
I
eliminate
have
any
confidence that
storage.
you can do it.
I wouldn't
We
even
can
have,
do it.
I wouldn't even have that much of an issue if the roof pitches were the same. If it, because of flood elevation, if it happened to be 1 foot higher than the front house, that is not something that's going to stand out.
Then you know they're going to take advantage of it. I think matching the ridge line height is the answer.
Well, I understand the guideline, and Mr. Chairman, I do have to go. Honestly, walking up and down that street for 20 years and driving by that block, you're not going to see it from the street. I'm just putting my 2 cents in there.
Well, can I get a motion from someone? Anyone?
Well, we continue this. I mean, I just don't think we have enough information about this. I mean, I could perhaps support this if I had some way to actually see what was going on, and if there was a little bit of give and take here. But I mean, I can't make a motion to approve this right now.
Want to offer to come back next
As is.
No, I cannot make it. Yeah, that's why I'm wondering if we can continue it to the next meeting.
Well,
We're just discussing that as well.
Well, but I think if we could see a better illustration of I mean, we all know that we can do some really accurate views of the property and the 2 buildings
with SketchUp
or some sort of 3D modeling program. Or you could even, I mean, I know you're not going to do this, but you could even build a model and photograph it and you could see it. But
I can do it with AutoCAD.
okay, so just to be able, I mean, we're like firing in the dark here. We just don't know enough about this. I mean, I'm not that concerned about the ridges actually matching. And I appreciate what you're trying to do. And I certainly appreciate the idea that this is an accessory building where the children of the mother are going to be able to live to help support it. All of that I'm fine with. What I'm not fine with is the graphic representation of what we're looking at here is not very good, period. I mean, the building is not shown in relation to the front house in any kind of view, whether it's from the street or whether it's from a site section. There's a lot of information that we just don't have. We need to see more.
Okay. Would you like to make a motion to continue this?
I'd like to make a motion to continue. What is this project number?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, could Mr. Harris please, in his motion, list so we can continue to work with the applicant and provide them direction before we bring them back? Can we list out the things that you would like to see just in general terms?
Okay, all right. So I move to continue HRPD project number 20-001-000277 until the following meeting with the understanding that the owners and their architect will work to provide us with a more detailed presentation as to the height of the existing building and its relationship in all different dimensions or axes to the new accessory building.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Harris, seconded by Mr. Dorinzo. Any more discussion, or shall we move to?
Mr. Chairman, has Sherry gotten any public response on that one? I was just curious.
No, I have not.
Okay, because that's a very interesting block. So I was just wondering if there was any neighbor pushback on anything.
Yeah. No, it is a very nice, I mean, I'm really familiar with that block and
We have no
I know
objection
this
to coming back next month.
I know this.
Great.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion,
Abraham, does this item require advertising a legal ad or no?
No, that's a good point. Since this got pushed out, we'll work with the applicant. Since there's not advertisement, if we can get those plans in quickly, we could still circle back in February.
I just wanted to make sure we didn't need to continue it to a date certain to avoid the advertising requirements, but we're good to go. So.
okay, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Project is continued.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, let's go to number 334 Dartmouth Drive. Who will be giving the presentation on that?
I'll be doing that one, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Hodges, take it away.
All right, just give me 1 second while I load this up.
Again, this is Jordan Hodges for the record, Senior Historic Preservation Coordinator. This is project number 20-001-00268, which is a consideration of a certificate of appropriateness for roof replacement for the property located at 334 Dartmouth Drive. Okay, so the property owner, Patty Layton, is requesting a COA to replace the existing flat white concrete tile roof with new dimensional asphalt shingles in white. The property is located on the north side of Dartmouth Drive between North Dixie Highway and Pennsylvania. And the property is in the single family residential zoning district, retains a future land use of single family, and is currently a non-contributing resource to the College Park Local Historic District. Next slide, please.
Yes.
Again, the request is to replace the existing flat white concrete tile with a dimensional asphalt shingle in white. Staff did search the manufacturer, who is GAF, for the proposed product and couldn't find a true white, which is not uncommon with asphalt shingle, but lightish white grays are offered. And there's a kind of sample of that. You can see the building to the left. It's very original condition, still has its divided like casements, slump brick kind of planter in the front, and that neat eyebrow fixture with the pop outs in the return. Okay, we'll do a brief property background. So the structure was constructed circa 1951 in a masonry minimal traditional style with elements of mid-century modern design. We do not have the original property architectural drawings, but we do have property cards from the 40s and 50s describing the structure as a building of masonry construction with a smooth stucco exterior finish and flat concrete tile. In 1955, there wasn't a rear addition behind the flat roof front porch. And then city permit records indicate the structure has had minor alterations over time, including a 2011 renovation, which upgraded a lot of mechanical work. As shown in the photos, the structure's character defining features, again, there is a flat roof open air front porch, decorative masonry eyebrow on the columns or in column on the front facade, and raised planter beds. And again, the steel divided like casements. These photos were actually taken during the flat roof replacement, which is taking place right now under an administrative COA. So for the historic classification, the building was designated as a non-contributing resource in the 1999 designation report. But in 2019, College Park was resurveyed using one of our state grants. And after that survey was completed, it was deemed eligible for reclassification as a contributing building. And changing the design of a character-defining feature, such as a flat white concrete tile, may jeopardize the structure's eligibility to be classified as a contributing resource. And again, just for the incentives for contributing resources, those include the 10-year ad valorem tax abatement for qualifying improvements, flexible provisions within the Florida Building Code, and the eligibility for historic waivers for future projects. Okay, so in the Historic Preservation Design Guidelines, they provide a guide for compatible roof replacement for historic structures within the districts. And replacement products should match the original features in design, color, texture, and other visual qualities, and where possible, material. Pages 205 and 206 of our design guidelines provide a guide for roof replacement, and examples are provided for successful, less successful, and unsuccessful. As you can see, the only appropriate replacement for a flat white concrete tile are new concrete tiles with a profile, color, and design that replicates the original. There are multiple manufacturers today who produce flat white tiles of similar profiles. The Lake Worth Beach Historic Preservation Design Guidelines also includes the architectural section for the minimal traditional style. On the minimal traditional section, it does say that roofing materials primarily consisted of flat white concrete tiles, occasionally asbestos shingle, asphalt shingle, or rolled roofing. We know in this case that it was the flat white tile. Utilizing dimensional asphalt shingles on masonry minimal traditional structures is a significant departure. We did see a lot of asphalt shingle used on frame minimal traditional, but not so much masonry. The roofing materials for these, the roofing materials, again, most commonly were thick concrete tiles laid in horizontal rows, creating a visually stepped appearance towards the high point of the roof. Okay, and then the National Park Service brief number 4, preservation brief number 4, which is roofing for historic buildings. We've gone over that brief on several times, and it was included in your electronic packet. But as indicated in the brief, the decision to use an alternate material should be weighed carefully against the primary concern to keep the historic character of the building. The applicant's justification statement was provided and included as attachment E in your board packets. It's worth noting that flat white concrete tiles that replicate the historic profiles are still in production today and can be utilized as a replacement roofing material. And all exterior alterations to structures within a historic district are subject to our visual compatibility criteria, and staff did outline those in the staff report. The proposed dimensional asphalt shingle in white will result in a substantial change to the structure's appearance. The proposal is unsuccessful in replicating the existing flat white concrete tiles and may jeopardize the structure's eligibility to be reclassified as a contributing resource. The city's historic preservation design guidelines do place a significant importance on successful roof replacement. The proposal is not in compliance with the design guidelines, as the replacement product does not seek to replicate the original roof. The structure's existing flat concrete tiles, the proposed roof replacement utilizes a product that is incompatible in profile, scale, texture, and design. The least possible adverse effect would be to maintain the existing roof or propose a replacement with a roof that replicates the existing product. In conclusion, again, the request is not in compliance with the Lake Worth Beach Preservation Design Guidelines, criteria on roof replacement for historic structures, and staff is not recommending approval of the application as submitted. The HRPB, as tasked in section 23.2-7C7, shall review the application and supporting exhibits to determine if a COA can be granted. That concludes staff's recommendations. There are no conditions of approval included in this application. I believe Ms. Layton, who is the property owner, is here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you, Mr. Hodges. Are there questions from board members to Ms. Layton?
Well, the only question I have is why do you want to use asphalt shingles rather than concrete tile?
Probably the main concern is the price. The price is almost double what the price would be for the asphalt shingles. On that street, there are barrel tile roofs. There's asphalt shingles. There's a metal roof. The only original roofs now are the ones that have not replaced their roofs, which is probably four roofs on the entire block are still that cement tile, which it doesn't seem like there's any symmetry to the block at all. You know, everybody has a different roof, so it doesn't really seem like that it would be taking anything away at all from that block and the entire area. The entire area is mixed as far as the roof styles of all the houses. The house was built in the 50s, not the 20s or the 30s. So I just really don't understand the reason that it needs to be kept in that condition.
You do realize that we have guidelines and we have an entire 200-page book of guidelines for renovations, and the guidelines for roofs of your sort are very clear.
I understand that, but I thought that the reason that I could come before the board is that there was a possibility that I would be given a variance because of some of the circumstances that exist in the neighborhood. And so that's exactly, what I was told that I could do, and possibly be able to change the roof to the asphalt shingle.
Other questions from board members? Mr. Dorinzo, any questions? No.
No, sir.
All right. Well, I mean, the guidelines appear rather clear to me that the flat shingles should be replaced with the exact same thing.
I will say that it's very difficult to say, but those are actually 3 different types of flat white concrete tiles that are in production today.
Those illustrations up there.
Yeah, it's very difficult to read, but the one that Abe's kind of hovering on right now has the connecting joint in the back, so they connect.
So there's more of a
slope. The other ones right there connect on the sides. And they're a little bit different in price. I believe the ones with the hidden connections are a little bit more expensive. But other than that, they are the same size, the same thickness. It's just a different way of installing them.
And as far as you know, all the ones that are still made they all have their own NOAAs?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a difference in quality?
Between the manufacturers?
Let's just say from a flat concrete tile roof to an asphalt shingle.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's A flat white tile roof is a premium roof. It has an excellent insulator effect on buildings. We've seen applicants, I believe it was when I first started here, so early 2017, we did have an applicant switch over to a asphalt shingle roof, and they immediately had to replace their air conditioning or machinery because they couldn't keep up with the increased heat in the attic. So it's a great insulator, reflects the heat of the sun, keeps the house more cool, but it is.
I do have, I've had insulation put into the house just recently, actually.
I would also like to say that the life cycle
Yes.
for an asphalt roof and the life cycle for a concrete roof is probably double. I mean,
Easily, yeah.
yeah, easily. And so, I mean, even though it may be more expensive now, the benefits that you'll get from buying that roof are you don't have to replace it for a much, much longer time. You'll also probably get a break on your insurance. And, you basically you get what you pay for.
And one other thing, if this home were not located in a historic district, which College Park plainly is, if it were over on one of the alphabet streets, the guidelines would still hold, but the HRPB would not have, if they wanted to come in and put asphalt on there, would they be able to do that over on E Street?
Pardon me?
Sure, if it's not in.
If it's not in the historic district.
And because you're in a premium neighborhood in a historic district, and your house does have historic significance, it helps you and it helps your neighbors and your neighborhood to maintain the higher quality appearance of the exterior of the house.
I'm not sure that roof actually does supply a higher quality and appearance. It really isn't that pretty of a roof, and you really don't see the roof from the road at all. It's barely visible, but I'm not sure the appearance is better than an asphalt shingle roof. And I mean, I'm 71 years old. I don't think I'm going to last more than 30 years, which that's what an asphalt shingle roof goes for, So I'm not going to get the value of putting on a more expensive roof because I don't think I'm going to replace it again in my lifetime.
But the people who buy the house after you might have to.
Yeah, that's true.
Think of it as a gift to your
survivors. And your heirs will inherit a much more valuable home.
Yeah.
Can I get
It's not going to help me right now,
all right, can I get a motion?
I move to deny HRPB project number 20-00100268 for certificate of appropriateness for the roof replacement with a new dimensional asphalt shingles in white for the property located at 334 Dartmouth Drive, because the applicant has not established by competent substantial evidence that the request is consistent with the City of Lake Worth Beach land development regulations and historic preservation requirements.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Dorinzo. All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, that ends the new business. Let's move on to planning issues, public comments, and so on. Planning issues, is that Erin?
That's me. We really don't have any planning issues. We're still awaiting the resubmittal of the Gulf Stream, which we're hoping to get in February or March timeframe. We're continuing to go gangbusters with our permits and new investment in the city. All wonderful things, both in and out of the historic district, and a lot of investment in our single family homes is also occurring as well.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Public comments. I doubt that we have any, but call for public comments. All right, let's move on to the department reports. Mr. Hodges, perhaps, or?
I don't have anything today. Do you have anything in addition, Aaron?
No.
All right, board member comments.
Welcome, Mr. Pickett, onto the board.
Yes.
I hope this was an interesting first meeting for you with approvals and denials. And I'd like to let Pamela know that you're sorely going to be missed.
Yes.
And I hope that you do just drop in every once in a while and say hi to all of us. Are you still going to be in other areas in this city?
Oh, absolutely. I'm still doing planning and zoning. I'm just giving her HRPB at the moment and code enforcement and, you know, other things. So this is sorry guys, this is the only thing that I'm giving up in the big word.
Was it something I said?
Yeah, she doesn't like us.
You guys are great, but I have to tell you, you're the easiest board. You may not be easy for the applicants, but in terms of having your stuff together and being, you know, very knowledgeable and tight on your requirements, it's not a hard board to represent. So quite frankly, it was the easiest board to give up without me worrying about the city. Planning and zoning, not so much.
You know, we have a lot of complex, you guys are going to have some complex projects when we get the Gulf Stream and when L&M comes in eventually one day. Pam will be on those particular projects because of the heavy zoning and use issues. You know, I think you're going to be we'll send you Susan's resume. You're going to be very impressed. She was an assistant city attorney for the city of Atlanta. And she has done historic preservation, been an attorney regarding historic preservation, both as a city professional and on the private side. So she is profoundly experienced. So we're very excited. And even Jordan, we're kind of nerding out talking to her a little bit. Mr. Chairman, I would love it if maybe Mr. Pickett during his board comments time, if he could introduce himself a little bit more.
Good idea. Yeah, go for it. Let's hear about you.
Okay, I'm Steve Pickett. I work with J. Morton Planning and Landscape Architecture. I've been down in this area this time for 7 years, but overall I've lived down here for 10, 12 years.
From where?
From Canada, from East Coast Canada. I purchased a home just a couple blocks over on the south side of Lake Street, the Lake Avenue. And yeah, I really enjoy living in the city and I'm looking forward to serving.
Wonderful.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. I have one final comment. It's based on that, the accessory building. As far as the requirements for projects, is there some way we can, and we obviously don't have to do it tonight. Is there a way that I can maybe look at what's required for the various things and perhaps make a few suggestions that we should
For the
add?
checklist? Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Those haven't been updated in quite some time,
Okay,
so
that'd be great. So I'll get in touch with you about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can maybe bring that back and discuss, you know, alterations to that in February.
Right, okay.
Bad idea.
Okay.
And Jordan typically brings it back and there's consensus on changes, just so you all understand what is required. So I think that would be very welcome.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. If there are no other board, Mr. Dorinzo? Yes. Mr. Dorinzo, you have something to say?
Pam, thank you so much. We're going to miss you. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Pickett, welcome to the board.
Well, maybe we should have some sort of end times beer with Pam or something like that.
I'll be back. I promise. I will be back.
All right.
All right.
Pam's buying though.
You're going to miss.
Pam's buying.
Oh, when?
Listen, if that will end COVID, I'm buying tomorrow. I would take everybody out
Yeah,
tomorrow.
right?
Oh my gosh. I'm tired of drinking at home.
You also are drinking
Aren't we
and not talk
all?
about board business, okay? So there's no case discussion, all right?
Okay. Motion for dismissal.